Jimbo's Garage.
Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome back to Jimbo's Garage. Well, the beauty of having a small fabrication shop such as my own here is I get a lot of projects coming in here, and you're always building something, but nothing's really ever the same. It's always something different. They're similar, but always something different. That's what makes it pretty cool. There's no exception to this project we're going to be doing today. It's a gate and a couple of side panels. The gate is 3 feet wide by 5 foot tall with 2 side panels about 20 inches wide by 5 foot tall each. Now that's pretty normal, that's pretty standard. It's the material that I'm using that makes this thing a little bit different. We've got a little sketch. Let me show you the sketch and I'll talk about the material we're using when we get started on this project. Okay, so here it is. Here's what we got here. I hope you guys can see this. This is a pretty clear drawing. Basically, the gate itself is going to be about 36. I know it says 39, but it's going to be about 36 inches wide and about 5 feet tall. And each side panel is about 20 inches by 5 feet tall. Now let's look at the material here. The post is 4x4. That's pretty common. But this is 4x4 by 1/8 thick, 1/8 of an inch thick steel column. The side rails are 2x4 by 1/8 thick steel column, as well as the top rail. The bottom rail is 2x8. However, it's not going to be a 2x8. It's going to be a 2x6, and that's for the bottom rails only. The pickets in the center are 2x2 063. Now, I want you to think about that for you guys to do metal projects. This is only about 7 feet across here in this area. Can you imagine what this is going to look like? This is so heavy duty and so overkill. Now, I didn't design this, I just built it. This is what the designer sent me. So with all that said, let's get started on this project. All right, so first things first, get all the metal up on the welding table right here. And you know, this is some pretty big stuff. It's 2x6 and 2x4s. It was quite a challenge for the slugger, but no problem at all. This thing cut through it just like it was butter. You know, I've had this saw for just about a year now, and this is still the original blade. And I've cut hundreds, if not thousands of cuts with it. Still cutting pretty good, so I'm pretty pleased with that. Here I'm just assembling one of the side panels, and this one is the one that goes up against the garage. The garage is actually out of square by 1.5 inches. So this panel is actually being built 1.5 inches out of square. It's probably hard for you to see that, but that's what I had to do. So each one of these small little pieces are individually cut and individually put in there. It took a little time to get everything just right, but eventually I got it all done, and then just got everything all tacked into position right there. And then I just went ahead and started welding it out. You know, you don't realize how many welds there really are. It's such a small little project, but if you take a look at all 4 sides, up, down the center, it turns out to be a lot of welds. But you know, hey, I was able to get through it. Everything was fine, no problems. Everything worked out really good. You know, and every MIG welder is different. Every machine is different. The settings that I'm using here, I'm using 30 thousandths wire. And I'm about 18.5 to 19 volts, and I'm running about 275 to 300 inches a minute. That seemed to work out the best for me for this particular project. This is 1/8 inch thick material, 063, a little bit thinner, 16th inch material for the 2x2s right there. And once I got everything all welded, then I just took like a wire wheel and went around, cleaned up everything, then ground everything nice and flat on the inside. Got them all primed and painted, and I gotta say, so far I'm pretty pleased with what it came out for these side panels. We just need to get these things installed. That way I can measure for the dimensions for the gate. So here we are. We are installing them, and so there's the house side right there, and then the other side to the left is the garage side. I've dug some footings about 2 feet deep, about 12 inches in diameter, and we just mixed up some concrete in the wheelbarrow right here. And that's what's going to hold the post into place, as well as anchoring them to the house and to the garage as well. So it's going to make for a nice solid and square fit and be ready for the measurements for the gate, and we'll get that done. You can see right here we're throwing the concrete in the hole, and you can see that bracket on the very bottom. Okay, so I got both side panels in. I've made my measurements for the gate. Let's get back to the shop, get this gate built, and finish up this project. Okay, so I'm back here at the shop. I got all the dimensions I need to make this gate the right size. I got all the material up here in my welding table. It's time to do some cutting and some welding. And let's get this gate project finished up. Let's do it. So there I am, back at it again. Got the slugger out, and this time it's really not too much cutting. Just the top and the bottom rails, the two side rails, and the 2x2s for now for the center of the gate worked out pretty good. Okay, so I've got all the primary pieces cut out for the gate that we need right here, and I've wiped everything down with acetone. You know, from the metal supply store, they come with this grease and oil all over them, and it gets for a mess, quite a mess to work with. So now that everything is cut, or mostly everything is cut, I've wiped everything down, and that just makes for a nice, better job to work with. Now, the only pieces that I have not cut out are these small center pieces in the middle of the gate. They're going to be somewhere between 6 and 7 inches long. That's the reason why I haven't cut them out yet. I need to get the gate itself actually tacked together, squared up, and the vertical pieces right here installed, and the correct spacing. Then I'll determine the exact length that we need to make for those. Like I said, there's 20 of those. So once I figure all that out, we'll get those cut. So let's get this gate assembled, tacked together, and get her finished up. All right, so pretty simple procedure right here. Top rail, a bottom rail, 2 side rails, and 3 of the 2x2s for the center of the gate, at least for now. You see me with a framing square right here when I'm squaring things up one side at a time. And that's the way I usually do it for quick and easy jobs like that. And you'll see me pull a diagonal across with a tape measure to get it square. But I often use a different method, and let me show you what that is. Okay, so I got the basic frame of the gate all tacked together, and now it's time to figure out the spacing here of these 2x2s in the center. Now, I can sit there and go with a calculator and measure and go back and forth to determine that. But I've got right here what's called a construction calculator. Being as I'm in construction, I use this thing, and it helps me out in a lot of different ways. Makes my life a lot easier. Now this thing converts, you can punch in the actual fraction or decimal in here, and it'll give you the distances you need for stairs, roof rafters. You can square things up, and I'm going to give you that example here as well. It's going to give me the exact spacing from what I need right here by just punching in the exact dimensions that I have right here. It'll tell me exactly what the spacing is I need for all of these right here, instead of me trying to take all that time and go through it. So let me bring you in real close. I'll show you a couple examples with this calculator that I have. And it's, it's fairly inexpensive, but it's a very handy tool to have. Let's take a look. Okay, so the first example I want to show you. Now, you guys see me do this a lot. Some of my regular viewers, or maybe you even do it yourself. When you're trying to fabricate something or square something up, you tack it together. You get your close dimensions, you tack it together, and you take a tape measure and you go from one side to the other side. Then you bang it around one way, then you bang it around the other way, and you're trying to get it perfectly square. Well, this thing right here is going to tell you exactly that dimension that you need before you even start banging it around. For example, this gate right here that we're doing is 39 3/4. So we're going to take 39 inch 3/4 length, and then we're going to take 57 inches width, and then we're going to hit square up, and it tells me it's 69.5 inches is what it's going to pull from one side to the other. That's the number I'm trying to reach to get it perfectly square. Now let me show you what this looks like. I've got it all tacked together, and let me show you that. Okay, so like I was saying, to square this thing up, and you just saw me do this in this video earlier where I had the square and I was going from one side to the other side, one side to the other side to try to get it perfectly square, when all I really needed to do is tack it in one place, put the piece in, hook it right on the corner, pull over here, and make everything hit 69.5, then I knew exactly everything is square. And check this out. I'm going to show you this up here. This is exactly 69.5, right on the money, not a 1/16 of an inch less or more. It's perfect. All right, so what we're trying to do here is now I'm trying to figure out the spacings. I need these 2x2s to be perfectly centered in the center of the gate frame right here. Yeah, now typically I would sit and mark and measure and mark forever. And I do this even though I have this calculator. I'm just too lazy to go and get it, but I have access to it right here. And I just want to show you how convenient this really is. So what we're going to do is we have a measurement right here of the inside of 31 3/4 of an inch. We have 5 points. We're going to call this the first point. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 points. So 31 3/4 divided by 5, and that'll give me the distance I need in between each one of these. That'll be exactly the same. Let me show you on the calculator. Okay, so what we have is we've got 31 3/4 of an inch. So we go 31 inch 3/4, and there's the display right there, divided by 5 equals 6 inches and 3/8. So 6 3/8 inches between each one of these. It will be equal spacings. 6 3/8. I don't know if you can see that. 6 3/8. 6 3/8. And I know you can't see the very end over here, but it is 6 3/8. So there it is. Perfect. Let's get these things tacked into place and get this gate welded out. All right, so now I got that all out of the way. Here I am just tacking everything into position. Now, I'm using this spacer block right here. This is something that I use a lot of. Once I figure out the dimension that I need, I just cut a spacer block, and that's what I use to tack everything one side and then the other side. So here I am. I figured out the dimension I need for the smaller pieces that are going in between, and I needed to cut quite a few of those. 20 of them, I think, to be exact. So once I got everything all cut, took it over to the belt sander and just deburred everything. And once that was all done, just laid everything into position. You can see that that they fit in there really nice. Everything was nice and a tight fit. I don't have too much gap or anything. And then it was the same process. Once I determined the space that I needed, I just cut a spacer block, and one block at a time, one piece at a time. And for the most part, they lined up there pretty square, pretty straight, looked pretty good. And then these mag squares, what I do is I use those to pull the center pieces up to the top rail so they're nice and flush with the rail. That worked out pretty good. Okay, I got everything all tacked together. Everything fits pretty good. Everything is nice and square and looks really nice. I'm pretty excited about this so far. Now, I have calculated there is a little over 220 welds that have to happen right here to get this completely welded all the way around. Obviously, that's going to take some time. We're not going to film all of that. But I will give you some up close, some finished welds. I will give you some arc shots. So let's get started and get her done. All right, so here we go. A lot of welding here. It's pretty tedious work, but I got to say, once you get yourself in a rhythm and things just go along here, it works out really good. And I got to say, welding this 1/8 inch thick material is kind of fun, really. The 063, you risk a chance of burning through. I do that a lot, but with the 1/8 inch stuff, boy, you can just burn right through and make some really nice welds, and it works out really good. Okay, so we are making progress right here. I've got 55 of the over 220 welds that we need to get done on this. I've tipped it up on this side right here, and I'll be able to get 50 more at least. Both sides of all of these on this side before I have to flip it around the other side to do the same thing. So let's do it. All right, so here we go. This is the last of it here. Just a lot of welds to go through. And, I had mentioned earlier that the settings were at about 19 volts, about 300 inches a minute. And that's good for the 1/8 inch material. And that's what I used when I was welding the 1/8 inch material. But for the 063, I actually turned that down to about 16.5 volts, about 160 inches a minute, and I found that works the best for me. I had no burn through. Everything was nice and smooth. These welds here are going to get ground down anyway. Now here's a little lock assembly that I need to cut in and install for like a deadbolt. It's not a deadbolt, it's just a regular lock assembly, key lock assembly. And these boxes they make are perfect for that. You can buy any assembly at your big box store and drop it right in, and they're perfect. It's really nice. They're really nice for gates. There's no thinking about it. Just cut it in and go with it. It works out pretty good. And here I just welding it out. Get a little careless right here, but you know, it's going to get ground down anyway. You know, once I got everything all done, I just changed the wheel out on my flap disc, 40 grit, and did a lot of grinding, and got it all done. All right, so I got the gate done. I got it primed and painted, and I did get the lock assembly installed. But what I didn't show you was the hinge assembly, and the reason why is because I was searching out for the ideal hinge on this, and I couldn't really find the perfect hinge, and you'll see why. That this gate's going to be offset off the post, so I had a hard time with the hinges. I did find a set of hinges that they wanted $350 for, and there's no way I was going to spend $350 for a set of hinges. So I bought these right here for 10 bucks, $5 a piece, and I did some modifications to them. I got them welded on. I think they're going to work just fine. So we'll get this gate installed tomorrow. We'll show you some of that video, and we'll get this thing project completed. Let's do it. All right, well, there it is with some help with my guys. This thing weighed about 200 pounds, so I'm glad they were around to help me out. We got it into position, and what a surprise. Everything worked and fit in there absolutely perfect. You know, that's one thing you always worry about when you're building a gate and you're hoping that your dimensions are right and everything works. Well, in this case, I guess I got a little lucky. Everything worked out perfectly fine, and it looks good. Yeah, I'm pretty pleased with the way this thing turned out. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to rate, comment, and subscribe for more video.
See you next time on Jimbo's Garage.